Hi folks, how you doing? Welcome to more Sex with Kel. Anyway, a young man wrote me a question. It's kind of an interesting question. It was titled, How to Initiate Intimate Relations. He writes, Hey Kel, I really like your videos, especially How to Smoke a Cigar series, but anyway, my question is, so he's a cross subscriber. I've been dating this girl for about 6 months, and we haven't had sex yet. Maybe I'm trying to rush it, but I think that's a reasonable amount of time. I really like her, but I don't know how much longer I can stay in this relationship if she's going to be like this. Whenever I bring it up for discussion, she says that it will happen eventually, but that has been happening for the last month. What would you do? I'm not giving her enough. Am I not giving her enough time? Any response would be appreciated. Thanks. Now I wrote him back and asked him to be more specific, and I asked him specific questions. And he wrote me back and gave me some specific questions. I wrote him a couple times. We wrote back and forth. And so here's a second email. He said, Hey, I'm sorry about the late response, summer job and whatnot. We are both 19 years old. She's told me she's not a virgin, so that's what I take to be true. I am a virgin, though. We've done pretty much everything except sex. I'll leave out the details, but you fill them in. She never gives a reason, but she really doesn't seem adverse to it. She just never really wants to do it, like it's some kind of weird chore. Are you married to this girl? Because most married men know what that's like. It's like in one sense, weird chore she's putting off. No, I appreciate the questions. I'd ask some questions. Being more specific will help a lot. Getting better advice. Then I wrote him again, and he said, I asked him if he was in love. I think he said, I wouldn't say I'm in love. I think that's going sort of far, but I definitely care a lot for her and want more out of it than sex. I believe she feels the same way. She meets my needs and everything else emotionally. Like if I'm sad, she's there. This is definitely a need for me as well. Okay, I got a few things to say about this. First of all, thanks for the great letter. I have a few things I want to say. First of all, the best way not to get sex from a girl and to turn a girl off sexually is to pressure her. I'm not saying you're doing that. But demanding sex, asking for sex is not the way to get sex from women. I'm not saying you shouldn't ask a girl if she wants to go to bed, or would you like to, there's ways of subtly asking girls for sex, like would you like to go back to my place after on a date or whatever. But just demanding it or asking her or trying to negotiate it is not a good way. Some guys do that, beg for it or whatever. The best way to turn a girl off is to do that, because girls don't like it, no one likes. I've actually been in a situation once, where I had a woman do this to me when we just got done having sex, and she's kind of a sex maniac, and I like that about her. But she wanted more sex. She wanted more sex all the time. I mean, you wouldn't believe what this relationship was like. It was good in a lot of ways, but she wouldn't leave me alone, literally. I mean, just pestered me all the time, and it gets old after a while. Even if you're a man, it's like, I don't want to have sex 5 times a day necessarily, not every day anyway. So it can really be a turn off, okay, to pressure someone psychologically by asking or begging for sex, or when are we going to do it? Why can't we do it? That's the first thing I'd say. The best way to get sex from a woman and get more sex from your girlfriend or wife or whatever is to make sex really pleasurable for her. Concentrate on her pleasure, okay? Which means you need to read up and read all about sex you can find, read books. There's lots of books, instruction manuals out there. You know about her parts. And if you can't name every part of the female vulva, if you don't know where the G-spot is, you've got work to do. You need to know how girls like being touched and kissed, and then usually most of them, how sensitive their necks are, what a wonderful erogenous zone that is. You need to become a master at sex, and a master at oral sex. You need to develop trust with a woman. In this way, whether it's a one-night stand or whether it's, a long-term relationship, you need to develop trust. Women get feeling like you're only, there to get laid. You only want to use them for sex, use their vagina as a masturbation tool if you harangue them about sex. But on the other hand, if instead you're a master at sex yourself, and you're an oral sex master, and you make sex pleasurable for them, they're going to come back for more, and they're going to want more. My personal advice as a young man is always get her off first. Give her an orgasm first. Find out how to do it, what she likes, what she can do, and what works. And if she's not capable of having an orgasm through intercourse, do it with your fingers or your hand or your mouth. Get her off first, and then you can get your own pleasure. A lot of men concentrate on their own pleasure, and it's kind of sad because men can get their own pleasure easily. women are a lot harder to get off, quite frankly. So become a master at sex, and things will progress better that way, for one thing. And that's my one piece of advice. The second piece of advice is, you're young and you're a virgin. I was, believe it or not, I was a virgin once too. I was even young once, believe it or not. And with my first girlfriend, I knew a lot about sex already, because I'd actually, and this will be in some other video, but I actually read books about sex. My father had books about how to make love to a woman and things like that. One was called The Sensuous Man, and they were just around the house, and I cobbed them, and I actually read these books when I was like 13 or 12 or 13, because I wanted to have sex someday. You know, I wanted to be with a woman someday, and I wanted to know what I need to do. And I knew all about the technical aspects of sex, or at least a lot of it anyway, but I'd never practiced any. And so when I met my first girlfriend, I was very shy and didn't know how to initiate things, didn't know how to, what I didn't know how to do was make a move on a woman, how to make a move, to actually initiate even anything. So we went for months just holding hands and going for walks and stuff like that and hugging, and finally one day she kissed me. Odd story. And then we progressed through kissing and other things, and we spent months doing, as you said, everything else, many months actually. And I never pressed her for intercourse, because we were doing we just slowly explored each other's bodies and everything else. And I all that stuff I'd learned by reading 3 or 4 books, I brought to the table, and I taught her things. She had no idea, and it was a wonderful, wonderful time. I wouldn't give that up for the world. In fact, there's times I wish I could go back and do it all over again. Take that long amount of time and slowly just be friends and play and explore and teach her things she didn't know about, and learn things myself and learn about her body and what makes her happy. And it was a wonderful time, and it went on for like a couple of years. I hate to say that, but it went on for a couple of years. We really took a long time, and when intercourse happened, it was very natural, and for me, astounding. I had no idea how good it really was. It really is good. Women have no idea how good it is for men. Anyway. So I would just say, revel in this time and enjoy it, and don't worry about it. It doesn't matter that you're a virgin. It doesn't matter, because you're going to have sex eventually someday with someone, probably this girl, and it doesn't matter. There's no competition here. I think young men are foolish who think they've got to lose their virginity. You know what I'm saying? Just take your time and enjoy the relationship. And you say you like her. I think you're in love with her personally. From what you said, it sounds to me like you actually love her. You may not realize you do, but I think you kind of do. And I would just take your time and enjoy being with her, enjoy her, and enjoy the sex you have. And my guess is, if you do that, and especially if you really make sex pleasurable for her, concentrate on kissing her neck and biting her and using your fingers and your tongue and your mouth and your hands, and get comfortable enough with her you can talk about sex and talk about what her fantasies are. And how you do that is by being receptive to it and not judging the things she's done in the past or what she might want to do. She might have all sorts of kinky fantasies, who knows. If you do that, she'll open up to you mentally about sex, and that's one of the most important things you can do with a woman. If she trusts you and is willing to talk about her fantasies and what turns her on, you'd be surprised what you'll find, and surprised how much better sex can be. So take your time, stop asking her about it. I would say, if you could, maybe someday you might have a conversation about it, but if the conversation is all geared toward getting sex that night or getting sex soon, that's not the conversation. The conversation should be, and it shouldn't be even about intercourse, but her past, and there may be a problem of some kind. I don't know, but I've always said, if you're old enough to have sex, then you're old enough to communicate about it and be honest about it and be upfront about what you're doing. That's my personal opinion, and I've always been that way myself, at least in my adult life. I was going to say one other thing here too about this. Darn it. There may be some problems she has with intercourse. It's possible. Who knows? She might have vaginismus. I think it's what it's pronounced. Where the vagina is extremely tight and it's actually painful. I don't know. Who knows what it could be? Could be lots of things. Or could be she just wants to be more comfortable with you psychologically. She just may need to trust you more. That may be such an intimate act for her. I assume you bought condoms. And make sure the condoms are in date, because condoms go bad after a year or two. And I assume you know how to use a condom. You don't just whip it on. I mean, there's a certain way of putting a condom on that makes it work properly. Learn about those kind of things. And if you haven't talked about birth control, then maybe you should, because maybe it's non-birth control herself. You don't want to be fathering a child, at this time in your life. Trust me. But anyway, there was something else that I was going to say here. I would say this. If you were someone who was in your 20s, had lots of sex, and she'd had lots of sex, and she was putting you off this way, I would say, you might want to move on. But this is something, I mean, maybe she's afraid of taking your virginity. Lots of things can be going on here. But stop worrying about it. Stop pressuring her, which it sounds like you could be a little bit, to do this sex thing. Don't make this sex thing a goal. Don't make intercourse a goal, because you've got the rest of your life to have lots of intercourse. You know what I'm saying? Frankly, everything else you're doing. And by the way, for women, sex isn't intercourse. Sex is fingers and mouths and tongues and erogenous zones and fantasies and taking your time. I mean, women like a man who takes his time. Like I say, the biggest turnoff for a woman is the guy who tries pressuring her into sex and pushing into intercourse. I also say, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but a lot of young men watch porno films, and that's how they learn how to have sex. It's the worst thing you can do. That is not real sex between a man and woman. That is not. And I'm not saying men and women can't have sex that way, but it's not real fun for women to have sex the way they do in porno films. They all follow the same script. The guy gets a BJ a little bit, then he whips her over or whatever, and bangs her hard, and then whatever, and that's not going to turn women on that much generally, unless you're with her and you're having a quickie. But that's basically what porno films are, is quickies, and that's not what you want to do. You want to be a lover, not just an effer. You know what I'm saying? And there's a difference. I've had the lucky experience of talking to a whole lot of women about sex in my day, and hearing their intimate fantasies. They tell me things they didn't tell their husbands they're married to for 10 years. And the one thing that come away, one of the things, among many things, which I'm going to make video about these things, is that anyone can be an effer. Any guy can just get it up and get it in, get it off. But women want a lover. That's what they really look for. Women are looking for a lover that knows about their body and how to work that and how to be a lover and how to take their time. And that's the guy you want to be. And use this time with this girl to become that lover, to explore and train, and ask her, if you're doing things to her, ask her how she likes it. Do you like it harder or softer, this way, that way? What feels best? Where would you like to be kissed? Where would you like to be bitten? Where would you like my tongue, my fingers? There's so much besides intercourse. Intercourse is just the icing on the cake. So don't worry about it, and for God's sakes, don't be telling your friends you're a virgin and have them telling you, oh, you got to get in there, buddy, because they're full of crap. Take your time, let it proceed naturally. Because if you try forcing it or pushing it, that ambition, you're just going to turn her off. They may have already a little bit. So I don't know. Maybe it's a problem she has. Maybe at some point, if you're having fun and you get more relaxed with her, she'll tell you what the deal is. Or maybe one of these days she'll be on top of you. You'll have done other things. You'll be kissing. You'll be biting her neck, and all of a sudden, bang! She slips you in her. It happens. It happens a lot, at least in my world. But like I say, and for God's sake, use contraception, especially since she's had other lovers. Use condoms. You know what I'm saying? And see if even if she's on the pill, you probably should use condoms just for that purpose, just for your own protection. She may not be on the pill. Who knows? Girls forget. So for your own protection, use condoms. I'm going to do a little FAQ on condoms one of these days, and one FAQ will be how to make it quite pleasurable with condoms. They can be done. I know condoms suck for both men and women, but it can be done. I've gone on too long, but that's my advice to you. Take your time. Take your time. You're a young man. You're a virgin. Doesn't matter. You got lots of time in life to have sex. Don't make it a priority. If you're doing everything else, trust me, you must be being satisfied. Now make sure you're satisfying her. Make sure she's taking her time, making love, enjoy. And I suspect if you do that, unless she has some specific problem, maybe she will tell you someday that she does. I suspect, you'll be having intercourse one of these days, probably quite soon. And you know what? If you never did, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I've been with women where we did everything else but intercourse, so we're adult women, and I was an adult, but it just didn't happen that day, and it doesn't matter. We've done everything else. We both had nice, lovely orgasms, and we didn't have intercourse. That's not the only thing. It's a big menu. There's a lot of stuff to do. And for me, making love, the pleasure has always been exploring the pleasure, not just necessarily being goal-oriented, Hope it helps. Write me back in a while and tell me how it goes. Keep me up to date. I'd like to know if this advice helped at all, and if it helped your relationship with her, and just enjoy her and be friends and have fun and have sex and have a good time. You'll get there. And even if you don't get there with her, there's other women in the world and there's other things to do. And again, my advice would be very, very different if I were talking to someone who was in their 20s, who'd had several different girlfriends, was out there dating, or an older person in their 30s and met a girl, and she turned down for sex. My advice would be different. But for you, this is my advice. Hope it helps. All right, and that's it. Thanks for watching Sex with Kel. Thanks for enjoying Sex with Kel. Hope you have. I mess with my own tagline. I'm not supposed to say it that way. Anyway, thanks for enjoying Sex with Kel, or watching Sex with Kel, or thanks for whatever it is. Anyway, hope you come back for more Sex with Kel. And if you have a question about sex or relationships, please email me through the YouTube system, and I will make a video and answer your question if I can. And nothing else, should be fun. All right, we'll talk to you later.